Welcome back to the Blue Frontier. It is Brentford 2, Everton 2. The Toffees snagged their 9th point of the season from a losing position, battling back twice at the GTech, first via Beto in the first half, and then Kieran Dewsbury-Hall rescuing the point late. You have to start with the very, very early action. Everton obviously conceding a penalty in the second minute, and I think it really changed how the Toffees had to approach the game, especially when you compare it to how we've approached most away games this season.
A bit of a body blow after especially 3 weeks of not seeing the Toffees. It just almost felt like the most Everton that moment you can get. But I got to say, credit to the road warriors that Everton are. I think it's just a testament to them staying into the game. Of course, many ugly moments, and we'll get into it. But to once again, as you mentioned, James, come back down twice and be able to get a very positive result when you look at the grand scheme of things. A lot of credit to the team.
I think also recovering from the first goal. You know, we've talked a lot on this pod about how if we get that first goal, because the team is relatively defensive oriented, how difficult we are to break down. And when that happens and we still show the character in many ways, maybe a little fortune there too, but I think they had their share of fortune today too. But the character we showed in coming back and getting back into this thing, Moyes deserves a lot of credit. I always believe that the head coach is ultimately the illustration of character for your side. Your team tends to reflect that, and I think that's what we saw today. And that brings us into our first talking point.
Yeah, I think there's so much going into this game, such a long break that we're not accustomed to late in the season, and the narrative building about Everton going into Europe. So you kick off this huge game, level on points with Brentford going into the day and leaving the day eventually. And then you kick things off in that way. You give away the penalty very early on with not just giving away the penalty itself, but the poor defending, just letting the ball roll through for Kevin Schade and going behind early on. And that really set the tone and took Everton, I think, very much out of their game plan. In the first half, Everton were forced into 48% possession and ended up with 45% for the game, tied for most possession we've had in an away match this season. So very clearly not the type of having to control the game, much prefer to sit deeper, and I think also suited Brentford wanting to get out in transition.
Yeah, you saw them get out in transition quite a bit today, and I think their lineup just really was very cohesive to doing that, just with the amount of pace that they have. And even on the first goal, right, Kevin Schade is just one of the fastest players in the Premier League. Another player, I think for Jordan, when he made that play, right, he probably gets to that. So it's just a credit to just the talent that they have there. But yeah, as you mentioned, James, it's just one of those where we just felt like had to kind of just scrap what we had. And I think a lot of emergency defending, but at the same time, I thought some really big moments of quality when they actually did show up really was helpful.
Yeah, I think you got to give Brentford credit. They were dictating the way the game was going to be played. Yes, at certain points, they ended up having a lot of the ball, but while they do like to attack directly, I think there were times where they did want to take the air out a little bit and attack and coordinate their attack a little bit better. So don't think we really took much out of that. I think at the very end in the late second half, I think when we decided to dial up the pressure, I do think it was effective. I think that would probably have been the one moment we really tried to go in there and dictate play. But look, the bottom line is there was some quality on both ends. I mean, we hadn't played in a long time, and I get that. So there was some rustiness early on. But in those key moments, both in terms of finishing and definitely goalkeeping on both ends, I mean, this was an outstanding performance by both keepers. Do we agree?
Yeah, it's not too often you would say a 4-goal game is one in which you're highlighting the goalkeepers, but there were some phenomenal saves. 4 big chances for Brentford in the match and 2 for Everton. Obviously finishing 2-2. Brentford missed 3 of those big chances, hitting the crossbar twice as well. And Everton missing 1 big chance. It was all over the place, and despite kind of a offensive barrage, a lot of opportunities for both teams. I think Everton finished with 7 shots on target. Both keepers forced into some dramatic saves in big moments.
I mean, you have to tip your cap to Kelleher as well as Pickford, because I think the diversity of saves was so interesting. It's not often you see just a variety of saves in the way that they were made, and in such key moments, right? Both when we were down and to keep it, 1-0, and then on their side to keep the game level. So credit to both keepers, and I think it just led to just a really fun watch for us, which has been really nice to carry that form from the Chelsea match.
I think it was just fun because in the match day thread, you could just write has to like every 20 minutes. And, you know, which was just, in case you haven't been on the Discord, we recommend that you do it, especially if you want to see that typed several times every match. But that's how it felt. But, you know, look, again, I was actually really impressed with Brentford today. And I think you alluded to it earlier when you talked about a team of kind of roles, you know, and it's very obvious the roles that they all play in this team and how key they are. You know, Sade plays his role with his movement and his pace. Thiago's hold up play, and the guy's on fire right now. Damsgaard is a wonderful playmaker, constantly looking for the ball in between the lines, and the way they attacked it in the wide spaces today was really interesting, I think. But yeah, I mean, look, they have some injuries too that's thrown some curveballs at them, and I think that's almost what makes it more impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the injuries, and I think that's kind of what made me feel a little bit more optimistic today. Of course, Everton being a great road team, but no Aaron Hickey, Vitaliano, Rico Henry, and Jordan Henderson. So I think you look from a depth standpoint. That's why when I saw them, I think really with a front forward lineup, just felt like they didn't really have the options that they normally would have on the bench to bring in. Reece Nelson being that first option, and as James and I mentioned, probably not the best signing that they've had this summer. So you look at just their team. I mean, as you mentioned, Ryan, Igor Thiago, 21 goals, incredible return. But that front three is as lethal as you can get when they've been together. I think where their weaknesses are the midfield's fine. It's not the most mobile midfield, but it's a very technically gifted midfield. And then you look at Kale slotting in for Aaron Hickey. And then I think that center back pairing's okay. Vandenberg is a fine player. Nathan Collins, I think, is a fine player. But I think when you're somebody like Beto, you feel pretty good about the physical battle as well as winning that. But yeah, I mean, Kelleher didn't realize how much of a role that he would have to play today. And we've said so much about Michael Chiodi at this point, but the missiles as throw-ins just continue to be so impressive.
I think that's a weird thing, too. If you look at it, they made one sub today. Brentford did, but I think they had to. Now, I think you could maybe argue when they scored the second goal, maybe some of these defenders could have come on, because that's where they do have a little bit of depth. There's some guys on the bench that you maybe would want to get out there. Maybe not Pinnock, but Ajer for sure. You know, he's a pretty talented guy. Maybe that would have helped change things a little bit. But, yeah, the attacking options just aren't there. And look, they don't have deep pockets. Like, they're not a team with the massive. This is the type of team, if they had injuries like a team like Spurs would have, you could see them dropping. I'm foreshadowing a little bit. I don't know if we're going to give thoughts and prayers for Spurs. I think we're past that at this point. But yeah, so I mean, credit to them. I mean, they're a very coherent team. I think they've been discussed in the offseason plenty of times. I think there was one highlight today, though, in Everton's lineup in terms of the changes that I think we were all pretty excited about.
Yeah, of course, with the 3-week break, given Jared Branthwaite, who had been having his minutes very closely managed prior to, finally given the green light to start, which he does. Otherwise, I think very unsurprising Everton lineup. We know that Dwight McNeil at this point seems to be Moyes' preference on the right. We do get, of course, Njai on the left, and Beto retains the starting place. You know, he scored a brace right before the break, kind of a no-brainer to keep him in that spot. And of course, Moyes was vindicated in that decision as the game wore on. But before we get into the timeline, we do have a special shout out for the Everton Football College, who went to the Dallas Cup in the States, a trip that they make annually, and brought 4 squads stateside, and the under-19 boys brought home silverware as Dallas Cup champs.
The Dallas Cup is no joke. It's always been a massive youth tournament. Everyone knows about it. I mean, it's world-renowned. There are international teams that come in and play in it, of course. Yeah, fantastic that they won. Some of the other clubs came very close to winning as well, too, and they have come close to winning in the past. Shout out to C. Baker, the CEO of the whole family of schools. He is a Discord member. He does listen to the pod, which we really appreciate. And if you haven't really gone in and done the research, you really should go look at like the free school that Everton sponsors and then the Everton Football College in general. It's a pretty cool concept, and recognize, too, that the advent of international players playing so much college soccer, a lot of times this is a big event for them to come over and perhaps look at opportunities in the States to go to school, play college, and continue on their education. And you could see, if you've seen the highlights and the videos, man, the kids were just completely over the moon winning it, and good for them. So anytime we can capture silverware in a blue Everton kit, right, it's something.
Let's go back to the match today, and we get into the timeline. We talked about the penalty conceded coming out of the international break, looked a little bit rusty, and I don't know what the defense is doing on this play. I mean, Tarkowski in particular lets both the ball and Shada run behind his back, seems completely unaware of what's going on. I think 3 different defenders are probably liable here for a little bit of ball watching.
I'll tell you what, you got to be ready to play against Thiago too. Like, I mean, he's a bully, you know, when that ball goes in the air, you know, that's a mistake. Just staring, watching the ball go past people, like a matador. They weren't at the races right there. I mean, that was a key moment. That being said, Sade is so fast. Like, it's like, even if you hesitate for 1/2 a second, he's gone. But I will say this, though, it really did, to me, set the stage for the rest of the match being a, like, Igor Thiago battle with Tark and Brentford. Like, right after that, you could tell they're like, all right, maybe we're asleep at the wheel there. That is not going to happen again. And the game got very, very physical, but I don't know. I mean, Pick at first, when I first thought it might be a red card, but he's going for the ball, so that was a very composed play by him, and a lot of composure too by Shade to not make that take that shot and go past him, and almost saved the penalty too, which is kind of foreshadowing how on the keepers were. But look, let's face it, we didn't start out very well, and I think you know, the way Brentford was set up, really a lot of man marking on the wings took some stuff away from us. And as a result, like, we really tried. Sometimes we do this. This drives me crazy that Moyes does this, where Dewsbury-Hall spends too much time away from the ball. And he wasn't seeing it. He had like 3 touches in the first 15 minutes because we were really stuck in that 4-4-2 transition into 4-4-1-1. It almost stayed 4-4-2, and it was just not recipe for success. And it took us a while to get into the match, but I think the key was him starting to drop deeper and get on the ball.
Yeah, this was a very, I think, uncharacteristic start from KDH, whether it was part of the game plan from Brentford, but just felt like, 1, he couldn't get the touches, but then 2, when he got the touches, just felt like the passes were errant. And so one of the things I was worried about as the game went on, but of course, you know, he definitely made amends for it. But Brentford, I mean, they were threatening constantly throughout, and it was very scary. A really good cross in the 21st minute hits Miko's hand. It hits Miko's hands. It's, you know, of course, just it's not a penalty. It's just completely accidental. But it's a really good shot. Like, it's a really good moment for them, and it's just they did a really good job of putting it into the mixer so much. And I have to give credit to our defense for bending and not breaking, because there was a ton of that throughout the match.
Yeah, some really good disruption, I think, like defenders being in the right place to make blocks and whatnot. To your point about KDH and the errant misweighted passes and whatnot, I thought we saw a lot of that from Everton early, like clearances that we just tried to hit and barely went anywhere, passes into no man's land, just very sloppy. And I think the rust, having not played in 3 weeks, contributed, but eventually course corrected. And by the 22nd minute, you have this pretty significant chance, and it's Dwight McNeil making the cross. Ghana gets it headed out to him. He hits it low on the edge of the box. It's deflected. Rebound falls to Beto, and this is the first of Kelleher's really remarkable saves, but ultimately Beto, I think, if he scores, it's a really close review on VAR, but I think he's just a couple inches offside there. But again, a good chance and some encouragement after weathering an early storm from Brentford.
That's a good shot by Ghana too. Like, you know what I mean? Who took a while to grow into the game as well, but I think, you know, second half of this game, or last 60 minutes or last minutes before he got subbed, he was excellent. I mean, he was driving play big time. And that's the thing, him and Garner in tandem, there was a little bit of role reversal today, I thought, at times, you know, a little bit in terms of driving play, but that's okay. You know, I mean, they're both good players. It was good to see. I mean, that one, I can't fault Beto for that. I mean, it's like it hit him his plant hand in many ways. And I thought Beto was outstanding, especially in the first half. And sure enough, in the 26th minute, there's just 2 massive moments of quality on this play, I think.
Yeah, I love this play from Jake O'Brien, pressuring Keane Lewis-Potter, and Lewis-Potter looking for that foul that they almost always give to defenders with their back to the end line. But JOB does such a good job of not really initiating the contact.
Never reaches with his arms, right?
Right, exactly. And so Lewis-Potter's just kind of leaning back and loses his balance. O'Brien with a little bit of a spin move and wins the ball back. No call. That Brentford are complaining already, but then O'Brien finds Ghana, and this is a really great cross to Beto, who heads it in from pretty much point blank. It's not a gimme finish by any means, but I think it's a 0.55 XG that he turns into a 0.99 post-shot XG. So excellent placement by Beto.
Yeah, he broke right off the cross, too, and just buried it in the corner. I mean, he couldn't ask for much. I was a little surprised that this happened, and maybe Brentford deserves a little bit of flack for kind of taking the foot off the gas a little bit. But look, these are moments of quality. It's just great to see Beto scoring. You know what I mean? It's so nice to see that. He went on that run last year. It seems like he's might be going on another one, and we need this stuff. And now suddenly the whole dynamics of the game can change. You know what I mean? We're not chasing anymore. We can do what we wanted to do before. We don't feel like the need to come out from things.
My favorite part of this play, though, was KWP basically keeping the guy on side as well, right? So he makes the mistake, he gets the chair pulled out, and then KLP basically
laying on the ground.
Yeah, just laying on the ground, and that's what keeps Beto on side, by the way, right? Because if he's not there, then it's an offside goal, just because you see it on first glance. But he's well sat, just mulling what Jake O'Brien just didn't do to him. And yeah, like you mentioned, Ryan, I think just they just seem to. That's one of those plays where you just clear the ball, it's all good. But I think you're trying to be too cute in the box. And fortunate for us, a ton of quality on Jake, as well as Beto. Really good finish.
It's often called, though. I mean, there's no doubt. It is often, James, to your point, called. But the referee was. I don't think he got everything right today, but I think it was even. And he did let a lot of things go. I mean, I think there were only like 13 fouls in the whole match, and there were plenty of combative moments. Heck, right after that, Tark and Thiago with the shoving match, and Jake nailed him at 1.2, and yeah, and then Tark kind of gets fat. I mean, the announcer, by the way, today was just making up stuff. He has no idea. Saying Tark's like some massive wind-up. He's not really. I mean,
he has that in him. He has that in him.
Every center back is going to battle with guys, and it has to be physical here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was very interesting. And then you had that sequence where JB completely flops, and he knew it was coming, and he didn't call it, which I thought that was fine. And then Mikalenko gets taken out, and then Ghana comes in with just this. I swear to God, that slide tackle. And like after the goal, Ghana just like activated after the goal, he like just came out and just started attacking everything, man. It was pretty impressive. Yeah, the game was really entertaining. I mean, it was back and forth. There was different momentum shifts, and there was possession. Sometimes it was chaotic, and it was very entertaining. And there were both well-coached teams that eventually showed a bit of skill. The 33rd minute, guys. I mean, is there a keeper right now playing better than Pickford? Seriously, like literally on the planet.
I really think it's a hard argument. I do think he's really just dialed in right now, and this is a massive save. Janssen cutting inside. It's a nice switch in transition from Thiago. JOB passes him on to Dwight, who just kind of stands there.
I'm going to comment on that in a second because that was atrocious.
It was, but this is not atrocious because he rips it near post, and Pickford just gets there with the very tip of his finger. Amazing reactions. Amazing strength to get that wide with just the tiniest little deflection. I mean, he is just absolutely on fire.
It's a great play by Janssen to cut. You know what I mean? Like if you're cutting inside, everyone loves that that slow curler into the corner. But if you snap one off and snap your hips and try and rifle one into the near post, amazing how often you could score like that. The fact the pick was on that was just tremendous. Yeah, this is not the only time where Dwight in space was loafing and not on it. Dwight did not play a very good match today, but I think that's what happens when you're dealing with people that were actually defending him, and he can't really get into the final third. He's got to pull back and send crosses, but at least he's predictable. Yeah, I was just disappointed with the defensive effort in some instances, but I swear after this, I'm thinking, how is Pickford ever going to get beaten? I mean, I literally felt like that. It's like it would have had to take some wild deflection that was completely unpredictable to beat him.
And then, Ryan, we get to the 37th minute, which proves your point. It's another corner that's really well taken by Brentford. It's Jared who starts with the sliding block, so credit to JB. And then Pickford, I don't know how he saves this. I mean, Igor Thiago just is like almost hands on head, just dumbfounded on how Pickford saved this, but it's just this low save that it just feels like no one knows about besides him. And once again, it just feels like we're off the hook, but just another moment to tip your cap to JP.
You know, it's unbelievable. I don't know what you guys think. I think he was so dialed in that if the first shot doesn't hit the crossbar, I think he saves it too. Which would have been even almost as impressive a save.
I was just going to say that. I thought he was all over that. And I actually thought he did tip it at first when I watched it live, and then on the replay you can see it come straight off the bar. But yeah, he's just mapping everything, and another huge moment.
I'm curious what you guys thought, like just taking back on the first half, because you've got the numbers in front of us, and look, a lot of their XG stuff was derived from the penalty. I did think they were the more dangerous team, but they didn't threaten the goal maybe as much as we would think, other than the massive saves that Pickford had to make. I mean, those aren't nothing necessarily, but they were moments here or there. I mean, they dominated at times with the ball and looked like they knew what they were doing, but I was never all that terrified. And I really feel like the teams are feeling each other out at times.
I think the key for me, Ryan, is we limited them on corners. So you saw, just because they're probably next to Arsenal, the best set piece team in the league. And then you look at I thought we did a really good job defending the throw-ins. And so Coyote was like on it too. Like, it wasn't like he was putting them in very good positions. One. Yeah, except for the last one.
When it was raining.
Yeah.
That came at a good time.
Yeah, which, by the way, thank you to Mother Nature for coming in at the perfect time to help us out. But I think the team deserves a lot of credit, just because I feel like they absorb pressure pretty well. And then, as you mentioned, we had some moments, right, where we showed some quality. And, of course, to get the goal going into halftime, I think erases just the memory of that really bad start.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder what happens if we don't have that lapse in concentration to open the match. I think it's a different first half, but ultimately there's a reason I think these teams are level in the table, and this first half, emphasizes that perfectly. Very balanced, both teams winning duels, winning free kicks, roughly the same amount of passes, almost 50% possession, and Brentford's biggest chance coming from the penalty. So and as you start the second half after a very even first, it unfortunately was all the home side to really start off the second period of play. And they did it a lot through attacking wide and effectively using crosses to create some pretty significant opportunities here.
I kind of saw that coming. I don't know about you guys. Like, when I'm sitting there thinking, they're going to adjust dramatically. Moyes is not Mr. Tactico, so you normally don't see these radical changes necessarily. And I just felt like what we were giving up, since we were packing the inside a little bit, was the wide areas. And you saw some matchups out there too. I thought Dwight was just chasing shadows out there, so I think that gave them an opportunity to get on the ball a lot on that side in particular. You probably wouldn't attack down the right side if you didn't have to. Njai was a pretty good defensive player. But yeah, and the numbers speak to that.
Yeah, you look, the first 15 minutes, 63% possession for Brentford, 5 shots to 0, pretty much domination. By the way, they put Reece Nelson in for Mikhail Damsgaard. So I think just you look at that, I was a little bit kind of shocked that change led to, a little bit more domination on their end. And yeah, it just felt like we were hanging on. In the 47th minute, Garner gets a very questionable yellow. I think that's probably the ref's worst moment in the match. And then another great threat. 48th minute, after that free kick, it's just Nathan Collins gets great contact. It's a hell of a header, and he just thumps it off the bar. And it just feels like, once again, we are just hanging on for dear life to just keep this level.
I swear Pick was going to get that one too, though. Like, I cannot believe how on it he is. This was just smashed. I mean, just smashed. It's a great cross, too. Shan, you're so right. They're so good on set pieces.
And you saw it there, and you saw it, again, not set piece here, but 54th minute, it's still all Brentford, almost 10 minutes into the half, and Shada gets on the end of a cross that was headed back toward him. And Branthwaite, again, right place, right time. He's there to make the block. Then Everton finally have their moment. About 10 minutes after that, things start to equal out a little bit, neutralize, and Dewsbury-Hall does a really good job again. Dewsbury-Hall getting more engaged, dropping a little bit deeper to get on the ball in certain moments, and he escapes pressure well here and plays Njai in. I mean, if you're looking to set up Iliman Njai to score, you're not going to find more perfect situations for him. One-on-one versus the defender, cutting inside onto his right foot. It's a perfect setup, but it's a lucky deflection. Deflects off Jensen, and Kelleher makes the save.
Yeah, Jensen does well dropping deeper and get his foot on it, but what a kick save by Kelleher. I mean, a lot of goalies overcommit on this one, too. And that's the interesting part about this. It's not like this was a perfect solution. I mean, yes, them sitting back and firing crosses makes sense in a way, but you still got to beat Pickford and the guys that we have inside. And we are big, tall, very good in the air. So you'd hope that we could eventually adjust and start to really be more effective on the counter and getting it out of there. And we really weren't, but we started to be a little bit. It just seemed very difficult those first 15, 20 minutes.
I mean, that's an incredible save by Kelleher. Just, once again, really good goalkeeping.
At this point with Njai in that situation, I'm fully expecting him to score because I just know he's that good. And the fact he didn't, I felt very robbed. That was a golden opportunity for Everton to take the lead. Unfortunately, it was not to be. 5 minutes after that, if you're keeping an Everton bingo card on the day, you get your probably basically the center square on the Everton bingo card is Ghana launching a shot over 20, 30 yards over goal. We got it taken care of. But then 2 minutes after that,
I want to hear what you guys think about this. This is a weird play.
Huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. It is a full field launch from Jordan Pickford. It's misplayed by the Brentford defender right into the path of Dewsbury-Hall, who instigated the run, and good on him for getting Pickford's attention and the placement here. A little bit lucky to end up with it, but Dewsbury-Hall pulls up. He pulls up. He's one-on-one with Kelleher. What's he doing? He's trying to cut back. Is he trying to look for the trailer, maybe Beto at this point? I feel like you have to be aggressive and take this right at goal.
I mean, the cutback worked, but he didn't see the help defense. I mean, he should have known he wasn't quite 1v1. I'm sure it's in his head that he's not fast. He's not a big, strong, fast guy. So I get a little bit of that. I'm kind of curious if you think this is a handball or not. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it is, but I guess you play advantage. Like, it's not like a red card situation or anything, but it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, James, you'd think he'd just crack one with the right. You know, I guess he wanted to get back on his left or something, like the Dwight McNeil influence.
It's absolutely a handball, Ryan, but the only problem is they played advantage, which the ref should have done. So, I at the end of the day, it's, do you take the red card over the goal? Because you'd expect him if, let's just say, the ref stopped play. It's not deliberate, so that would probably help too. It just felt like it was lost in the air, and the elements obviously not helping things, but we had like 2 FIFA glitches in one match, right? Like Tarkowski earlier, and then KDH just felt like, it's just like, there's no one on the pitch I'd probably rather have in that situation than him, just given the intelligence factor. And like you mentioned, Ryan, not the fastest guy, but he got a head start. Opportunistic, one of those that you look back on if we lost this game on what could have been.
And it's classic because the way the matches have gone this year, the way things have happened right after something else is supposed to happen. And we make this triple sub, which someone's going to score after every sub. That's basically how this year has gone. Were you guys, a triple sub from David Moyes is not common.
This is a wild move by David Moyes. I was expecting at most the obligatory Beto
aggressive move, right,
James? Aggressive move. I definitely don't hate it. I mean, I think at this point, obviously, it's Beto, Ghana, and McNeil all make way for Tierno Berry, Tim, and Tyrique George, who, honestly, over the break, I kind of forgot that we had signed him because we've seen so little of him. But obviously, he had a really great several minutes. I like the aggression from Moyes. I really appreciate that, something we have not really seen from him. But with how big this game is in the proverbial race for Europe, maybe he's pulling the big guns out.
I like that he's going for it. I still don't like the Njai George thing. I don't get it. I've said it 100 times. And look, George was dangerous. I'm not saying he wasn't. But if you think about how we're constructed, you've got Njai as a much better, no offense to Dwight McNeil, I'm sure at one point he was, but Njai's a much more willing, more athletic, and a better defender to me in space. You team him up with Mikalenko, and you put Jake and Dwight on the right side, and Jake's a very good defensive player. I think that makes sense. There's some balance there. If I'm Brentford, I'm probably going to attack down at Jake and Dwight. And so the second you do this, Brentford immediately goes and attacks down the right side, which is, I think, what they would want to do. Lewis Potter's a very attacking-based player. He's more of a winger, really. But, I'm sure they'd rather attack the right with Coyote anyway. So I don't know. I don't like this. Immediately they went and attacked down the right, and of course they score. But George can play right wing. He plays it all the time, and we've seen what happens when Njai goes out to the right. Now, Njai wasn't having the greatest match, so that maybe there's something to be said for that. But he's just relegated to crossing basically and playing wide balls. I don't know. I hate that he does this. I wish he'd just leave Njai alone on the left side, because now you've got to figure out chemistry between 2 different players on both sides rather than keeping one of them static. Disappointing goal. I don't know if I really felt it was coming on. I do think Brentford was the better side in the second half, but I felt like we were starting to break through a little bit and start to get that transition working, start to press a little bit too. So this was a disappointing goal, but this is about what it takes to beat Pickford at this point.
Coyote, kind of a ridiculous run. As much as I liked Tyrique George's appearance, not his most valiant defensive effort here. Just gets skated by there. Takes it inside of Garner, and it's a ridiculous deflection. Pickford has no chance at this. Takes him completely out of the play, and Igor Thiago gets the flukiest goal of his entire season, probably.
I mean, it's unlucky in regards to the way the goal happened, but I think we have to take some accountability on just the defending to let Michael Coyote just get in there as much as possible.
Right in your inside, Sean. Like,
yeah.
You can't let him do that. At least you got to force him out.
Force him out. Force him out. I mean, we're doing so well with crosses all day. Force him out. And I think that's just a little bit of laziness at that point in the game. The guys are tired, so it happens. I think, and credit to Igor Thiago. I know it's lucky, but he's in the right position, right? So it's like that's where you want your center forward to be. So he was a poacher in that sense. One of those where it just felt unjust, but once again, very good response by the team given going down 2-1.
That's the one thing you say about this team, man. I mean, I know David Moyes maybe isn't Mr. Tactical, like I said, but his teams have character. They have belief. And the core of this group decided immediately, like, nope, we're going to try and equalize. I was thinking at this point, he really needs to make another change to put another attacker in to get on the ball because it looked like Brentford will go for it, too. It's not like they won't. But they're still going to defend mostly here. A little surprised Brentford didn't make a change either. They both kind of let it roll. I'm not so sure that was a good idea on either side, but you're right. The response was really good. The numbers yet again endorse that.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes, 4-1 in shots for Everton, 2 corners, and almost 60% possession. So not lying down and accepting their fate, and credit to them. This moment in the 78th, the Dewsbury-Hall cross, and Brentford... What? There's 3 guys. None of them even seems interested in trying to make a play. The ball almost just rolls in slow motion over the line. Eventually, someone snaps to their senses and clears it out. But I think Barry was crashing there. There was a lot of potential action.
I was expecting Beto to come off the bench and put that in.
Truly. He would have been all over that.
He would have flattened them all, you know what I mean? So, yes, it would have been like a combination of memes, like, the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. That's basically what happened. So then you just need someone to come in and just wipe them out. I think that would have been excellent. We should have done that. We should probably put that together. We're consistently dangerous at this point, too. A lot of it was going through Tyrique George, and he wasn't making the right decision all the time. I'll say this, though. It would be nice, and again, I think our film and our scouting report on him is spot on. He can smash a ball, but it would be so very nice for him to every now and then not smash a ball. You know what I mean? Like, we already have Ghana, so we already know the people in the stands are terrified when he gets the ball. We don't need another one. But the thing is, he normally misses wide or right over. Dude, the one he missed wide, like, oh my heavens, if you got hit with that, you would be out cold. Like, that thing was absolutely humming. It was exciting to see him, though, and his athleticism and skill. Right? I mean, because this team is crying out for a little more verticality and pace, and he definitely has that.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw from Tyrique George. Exciting to get, NJ wasn't having the best game. You bring George in, you feed him the ball in space against Coyote, tired legs. This was a rinsed Coyote, cutting inside to create the shot there. It's another great save from Kelleher. And it's a bit of foreshadowing because it wasn't the last good opportunity that Everton would create.
Well, he broke his ankle at one point. Coyote went down. Well, a couple guys were slipping today. So, I mean, maybe it was a little bit the surface. But after that, Coyote, I thought, he went down for a while. And that's the one where George passed it out of bounds. Like, dude, just play it wide to Mikalenko. You've got a guy limping over there. Even Miko could beat him. Okay, maybe not. But I think he probably could have. He surprises us every now and then. But yeah, look, this is a massive moment, I think, for the season, too. I think a lot of us could have looked at this, especially how crowded the table was. And I think, Sean, you even said off the air, if we drop all points in this one, it's not looking good for Europe, right?
It's done. Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's just pretty simple because you look at how the table is, and this is
too many teams to catch, right?
This is as big of a 6-pointer as you can get, right? And you just look at with how many games there are left in the season. No game is an easy one, and to lose one and then give the opposition 2, it just really hurts. But that doesn't happen. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, it's just a really, really fun finish. You look at Njai 1v1, lays it off to Jake. It's a really good low shot by Jake, by the way, so credit to Jake, who was absolutely on it today. And Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, it's funny, you look at this play in slow motion, he's just kind of there, and then as soon as the ball just gets to him, Johnny on the spot, 5 holes Kelleher, slots it home, and it just felt like the heavens were opening up with the rain, but truly he tasted the rainbow on that one. It's a hell of a finish.
Great goal. We almost gave up the loser, by the way, like 3 minutes later.
Yeah, Lewis Potter, who I think was pretty dangerous with some of his crosses all game. Floats this one in. Shada can't quite get to it, and I think Thiago's waiting right there for.
Oh yeah,
to get it. And there were a couple moments throughout the match where they were not in sync and not communicating with one another, where one would have a better play. Shada can't quite get to it. It falls to Ouattara on the opposite post, and he can't react to it. That really could have been it for Everton there. Thankfully wasn't, and we get to full time and we escape with a point.
A little fortune, I think, for us today, but we're on the road. Maybe we deserve it a little bit. We've had fortune this year, but so what? You know, it's still in these key moments, there was quality there too. And look, those guys are good in the air too. I mean, Ouattara is what I'm going to call him, as we know. He's great in the air too. I mean, for a winger, fantastic. To the point where people were putting him at wing back and fullback potentially too. So yeah, maybe we lucked out a little bit on that, but I swear to God, I don't know what's going to take to beat Pickford at this point if he keeps playing like he is today. Yeah, I think taking a step back, looking at the numbers, James, I mean, it was obvious what they were trying to do in the second half. I mean, they had twice as many crosses as they did in the first half. I think twice as many successful crosses as well, too. Again, Everton are good at defending crosses with the size that we have out there, especially JB in there. So I understand that tactic, but that could have backfired on them just as well. Do we feel a little fortunate with the results on this one? There's foreshadowing to this one as well, a little bit in the pod in terms of whether we should be happy or sad, but that's another story.
No, I think it was a deserved result. Yes, Brentford had slightly higher XG, maybe more volume of chances, but Everton acquitted themselves very well, especially given they were the road team. And I felt like the resilience and the evenness throughout, never really backed down, conceded twice through. Again, the second goal is right place, right time, but it's just a bit of a lucky deflection. I was very pleased with how the team performed. Even as we went down and we're pushing for the equalizer, it would have been frustrating to lose this game, but I was still very happy with the performance. I wasn't going to come on the pod and, rant and rave, not that we ever do, but it just felt like we really acquitted ourselves well and showed another strong performance.
Brentford are good.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Sean warned us about this at the beginning of the year, and we're both like, really? I mean, with that team, I'm seeing the talent they sold. Really? They're really good. I mean, and look, you look at the numbers. I mean, 2.37 XG to 1.51. Yes, there's a penalty in there, although the penalty is probably equivalent of the chance, to be honest. 34 to 23 touches in the box to Brentford's favor. And that's surprising because even when Everton haven't had the ball, we do find ways to get it in the box. Both keepers played very, very well. I'm not going to say this is necessarily a deserved draw, but it was close enough, and we hung in there with character. And certainly if you look at the state of the game, I was maybe a little surprised that we scored at the end, but it wasn't a ridiculous result if you look at it. And, credit to the guys going in. It's tough to come off this long a break and put together a coherent performance against clearly a very good side. There were lots of good performances in this one. Some others that I thought weren't as good as usual, but many good ones, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a new one. But I went with Mykolenko. 8 clearances, 2 tackles, 3 aerials, 1. I just thought he had a plethora of moments throughout the match that he was the final man defending in space and made the right play. Thankless performance when you look at it, but just kept us in the match throughout. And I thought defensively he was very sound. Never really got beat. Thought he was just very solid going forward. Didn't try to do too much, which is kind of his Achilles heel. But a really big credit to Mykolenko. I just thought, for a guy that I think a lot of people would, have been pretty critical of throughout the season, he's quietly put a lot of solid performances together.
With Dewsbury-Hall, because he scored the late equalizer, but also what he brought to the team after that first period of play where he wasn't very involved. Once he starts getting on the ball more, you just see the influence he has in attack. Shifting over to the left, he did a lot of that today to link up and did so very effectively. Had a couple really big chances, still scratching my head about the breakaway, why he didn't just push for the goal, but he ultimately converted the one that defined the match and late heroics once again. So I just really love what he brings to this team. And even though he's not fast, Ryan, which I think is totally fair to say, there were some runs he made late on in the match. His fitness and his ability to just go at full speed late into matches when other guys are tiring, I think sets him apart a little bit.
Yeah, he works very hard, and his quality is important. He's just very important for us, for a team. Someone to get deeper, get on the ball, and show the quality to move it around a lot. He's a key player for us for sure. I just went with Pickford. I just can't believe how good he is right now. Neither of the goals were on him. I don't know where they get the number of the post-shot XG on that deflection on Thiago. Like, it's not even a high number. I'm like, are you kidding me? No one is saving that. What on earth are you talking about? But FOTMob and Opta don't have the most sophisticated models, whatever. Yes, they hit 2 posts, but I swear to God, I think he was going to save those anyway. The distribution, too, on the Dewsbury-Hall chance was something worth noting as well. But there were other performances, too. And I like, some of the suggestions Nick Weinstein has.
Yeah, Nick says, huge point, being down twice and battling back could prove big at the end of the year. Thought Beto was great. George came on late and gave us some juice. We were right in the European race, bring on the Derby, and he's right. I mean, you keep yourself in the European race with this, and I think for Beto, you're just really happy for him on this purple patch going into the Derby. So it's just exciting for the team to have games that matter going into the end of the year that aren't for the survival of the club, but more for the foundation building.
I got to say, I also felt like James Garner came off his first England caps and was also, I think, very good today. I mean, 17 defensive contributions is kind of insane. He won 5 of his 9 ground duels. He had 2 tackles, 5 clearances, 7 recoveries, just back to the typical very good James Garner form.
Yeah, and look, I mean, to me, it's one thing that we played well, we didn't, but like I alluded to quote Bluest 192, we weren't great, probably didn't deserve it, but got a point that could be valuable when it's all said and done. And of course, what does he post? He posts his obligatory picture of the Everton Happy Sad Reversible Critter Ball soft toy with a smile. And I think the way it capped off, I think it's okay to feel a little bit fortunate. And I totally understand how Cryptus feels about this too. I get that sentiment.
Yeah, from Cryptus, he said, I was getting ready to write the eulogy about how Brentford were the better side and deserved the win, but Everton finally managed a moment of quality to keep the European dream alive. Can't be anything but happy with that point in the end. And obviously thrilled with the point. At the death, it's always very exciting. I feel like we deserved it. I feel like we deserved a draw.
I don't know about that.
But, on the volume of chances, if it weren't for the complete lapse in concentration in the first minute, that could have been the winner.
I don't know. I mean, I just felt like Brentford had more purpose. They were better organized, and I thought more dangerous overall. I think the numbers support that. But, I mean, you can't discount Pickford being a good player, too. I mean, we get credit for that. I mean, James, I still just think that while I just think we have some really good individual players at key positions, but I just keep saying this, and I've said it all year. Imagine this team with legitimate right wing, right back, and left back. And not that Mikalenko's terrible, but I think it's been helpful that we haven't been injured, by the way. Because you look at this team and you think you pull any one of those key guys out, no offense to Michael Keane, but if Michael Keane's playing instead of JB today, I don't think it's going to go as well. Not that he's not a bad box defender, but I mean, I think they're attacking down the right side probably even more than they did. Sleazy Toffee with this reaction. Fun match to watch, and a draw seems fair. Can George play right wing? Yes, he can.
Hope to see it. We also have another guy who can play right wing.
I'd say this, though. I think Dibbling's a better right wing than George. But they're very different style of players. Dibbling is very much Jack Grealish-ish, getting a guy in his hip, containing the ball, keeping it. And I still kind of wonder if that will ever necessarily work in a Moyes side. We'll see. But it was still encouraging to see a young player like Tyrique George really step in and make a big impact. And although he did not get the goal, he was part of the pressure that pinned them back.
Yeah.
Looking at the table today, James, I think we'd be remiss to mention certainly some results did not go our way. But, man, things are crowded. I believe Fulham's down 2-0 as much as I don't want Liverpool to win. That does help us a little bit in terms of separating from some of the teams around us. But, man, this table's tight. And Bournemouth won today, a little shocking, and Brighton expectedly took the points against Burnley. How are you looking at this and feeling?
Going into today, I was hoping that Fulham would be a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool, setting up a unbelievable. I mean, this would have been a massive Merseyside derby at first at Hill Dickinson with the potential to go above Liverpool. It looks like that will not be the case, unfortunately. But regardless, we stay level with Brentford. It is going to be neck and neck, and just 1 point behind Chelsea. It does seem like 5th place is potentially achievable. It just feels like none of these teams are really grabbing the opportunity with both hands, and we have not the easiest schedule, but I think some winnable games coming up.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, it's also hard to not ignore that we've been beating the XG gods for a while, but some of that is goalkeeping. And Pickford's very good. And we hadn't been beating the XG gods in terms of finishing, so Beto maybe catching fire at the right time. Things could be pretty interesting. I mean, next week it's really hard to ignore that match. You know what I mean? That's going to be a big one.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Chance to write some new history with a new stadium. We know how there were some great Goodison derbies in recent years. Hopefully the first one at Hill Dickinson is a real barn burner. I know the atmosphere is going to be something special.
Yeah, I hope we come out at least with, with the right attitude and the right things going on to get the crowd immediately behind us. I think they'll be pretty solid. It is a derby, but it is what it is. So, okay, Shan had to cut out. We get it. Thoughts and prayers, though. Dude, Leicester. Hey, James, I'm staring at. Well, first of all, they got docked points. And if I were them, I'd be livid about that. But, I mean, it was very obvious what they were doing.
Thoughts and prayers.
They're at 41 points. They're, second to last. They're 3 points away from Oxford United, man. And their goal differential is a little better, so maybe that would get them. But they've got to hop 2 teams. Portsmouth's at 45. It's not
looking good. It's not looking good for Leicester.
No, and I'll tell you what. Another thing that's wild here. It is so nice to be away from the relegation battle in the Premier League. The relegation battle with West Ham's results today. Oh my goodness, this is getting Jonesy said it on the Discord, and I agree with them. I can't see Spurs going down, but I'll tell you, even if West Ham stay up, they're in trouble from a financial fair play standpoint anyway. I don't know, man. Just crazy. I think we picked the right year to be out of it.
100%. And Spurs have now a massive game tomorrow against Sunderland. They're in the relegation zone. I mean, the West Ham Wolves match, there were some ridiculous goals scored by West Ham in that game, really putting a team to the sword that they needed to get those 3 points. And, I don't hate Spurs, but if you don't win a game in the calendar year to end the season, you kind of deserve to go down.
Well, they brought in a firefighter no, they didn't. Yeah, De Zerbi, that's the big curveball here. It's so crazy. I don't want to beat this one into the ground. The last pod you guys did was fantastic. I recommend everyone go and check it out. But here's another tidbit I had, and I noticed this week. So for Americans that maybe don't know a little bit about youth soccer, obviously I have a kid in it, so there's something to be said for that. But there's always been a situation where the top youth leagues prevented and or asked players to get waivers to actually play in their high school. So a lot of listeners may not understand this, but high school soccer in the States is kind of more fun. I mean, in certain areas, it's really important and people still really care about it. It's not that people don't care about it. I'm not dismissing it. But often the top teams are like, you're not playing high school soccer. There's no way you're going to play that because the coaches normally aren't held to the same standard. Many of them are, not really soccer coaches. They run their kids. They practice every day. It's not necessarily the best environment for development. So this dude tweets out, news. MLS Next has issued new guidance to its club that high school players in the development platform's top tier will have to choose between playing for their clubs or high schools next season. And all this uproar always happens over the American youth soccer ecosphere. You know what I mean, James? People are always critical about it because we have so many players, so much talent, and we don't develop. This is not new at all. There's not news at all. This is not news. This has been this way. And all these people coming out of the woodwork saying, this is outrageous. Do they not care about soccer? This is why we can't field a team. And so thoughts and prayers to the people right now that have suddenly realized that high school soccer is going to be decimated by the couple thousand players that are completely elite and that aren't allowed to play now anymore, I guess. I don't know, James. You're on mute.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers to high school soccer and people who don't know the way the game works in America. And last but not least, we have our score predictions for today. We had Caledon, Harpsichord Canvas, and BC Gross. Credit to you for getting the score prediction right. Reminder to join the Discord where you can submit your score predictions every week, and we keep a running tally for the end of the season, which is coming right up. But before that, we, of course, have the Merseyside Derby podcast next week. Post-match should be an interesting one. Maybe 3 points to talk about. We shall see. But I think that's going to do it for us today. We appreciate everyone tuning in and for listening, supporting the show. If you enjoyed it, leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice, or subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like this video, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought. All of our socials can be found at the link in the description. But until next time, up the Toffees.